Hello, this is Tim Bryce with the National Weather Service in El Paso. This is a special weather briefing for the potential of severe weather today, Tuesday, and Wednesday. This recording was made Monday morning, October 5th. Well, what are we talking about? Well, unfortunately, like we saw on Saturday, we will again see the potential for strong to severe thunderstorms both today, Tuesday, and Wednesday. For today, like I said, the potential for large damaging hail, strong damaging winds are possible from El Paso to the west. We can't rule out an isolated tornado either, so this includes most of southern New Mexico. On Tuesday, and I'm going to outline all these threats graphically here in a minute, the threat for severe weather kind of shifts over the entire area. So the same threats, large damaging hail, strong damaging winds across far west Texas and most of southern New Mexico, and again, we can't rule out that isolated tornado. Wednesday, the threat's going to shift to the east, so basically from El Paso and Las Cruces eastward into Hudspeth County and eastern Otero County. Again, the threats will be large damaging hail, strong damaging winds, with just a slight chance of an isolated tornado. Also, unfortunately, on all days, isolated heavy rain and flash flooding will be possible. What are some of the potential impacts? Well, we could see moderate to heavy rain mixed with small hail, which could cause rain-slicked roadways, and that also could reduce visibilities. That'll impact traffic around the metro areas, along some of the interstates. Of course, that larger size hail could also damage structures and vehicles, just like we saw in Las Cruces on Saturday. Damaging winds in excess of 60 miles an hour could affect weaker and lighter structures and roofs, as well as downing trees. If you have any loose objects, make sure they're secured, especially those in the front or the backyard. Heavy rains may cause temporary street flooding and may cause low water crossings impassable. And finally, if you're in charge of a large outdoor event with many people that could be at risk, there could be the potential for delays of 30 to 45 minutes or even cancellation due to any of the following: the heavy rain, large hail, or damaging winds, and deadly lightning. Before I get into showing you where the thunderstorm potential is, I wanted to go over this graphic real quickly. This is from the Severe Predictions or the Storm Prediction Center, and it just kind of shows you the risk categories that they put out. And our focus is going to be on the marginal in that dark green kind of color, where we're expecting isolated severe thunderstorms. So here's the threat for today, and I'll show you why. I'll give you the weather background, give you a short brief on the weather, what's causing it. But basically, the marginal threat for isolated severe thunderstorms will be basically from El Paso and Las Cruces to the west today. And you can also see it includes a large hunk of Arizona. Then as we move forward one day into Tuesday, you can see that threat shifts and covers all of southern, the big hunk of southern New Mexico and far west Texas. So that would include the metro areas of El Paso and Las Cruces, Alamogordo, Truth of Consequences, Deming, Silver City. And that's where that main threat, and that's actually the day we're looking for the best chance of severe weather. Then on Wednesday, the threat continues to shift slowly to the east, and we can see it still probably grabs parts of Hudspeth County and eastern Otero County, where that threat of severe weather with the large hail and the strong winds. And like I said, on any of these 3 days, we can't rule out a tornado, and I'll explain why here on the next graphic. Basically, we've got a large area of low pressure. It's currently centered over Southern California, and what's happening at the surface, you have southeast winds, but aloft we have southwest winds. So as those winds go up in the atmosphere, they're turning from the southeast to the southwest, and as that turning motion tends to give extra energy and extra potential to thunderstorms. During the monsoon season, we just don't have that turning in the atmosphere. It's pretty much the winds all come from one direction, from the ground all the way up to the top part of the atmosphere. But as we go into the fall season, as we transition out of the monsoon season, it's not unusual to see this kind of weather situation set up to where we have the potential with this area of low pressure moving in and giving us the added lift associated with the low pressure, the turning of the winds, and we've got plenty of moisture across the area. Looking at Tuesday, you can see that low is now moving into Arizona. It's in a much more favored location, so almost the entire area is under threat for at least isolated severe thunderstorms. Again, with that, we got plenty of moisture to fuel the storms, and we will see that turning of the winds as you move up in the atmosphere. Finally, on Wednesday, the upper level storm system is moving right into western New Mexico, so that shifts the main threat for severe weather off to just to the east of the El Paso and Las Cruces area. I wouldn't be surprised if it catches parts of eastern El Paso County, eastern parts of Otero, and all of Hudspeth County will be under threat for severe thunderstorms on Wednesday. In addition to the chances for severe thunderstorms, we will see heavy rain, and there's going to be a potential for flash flooding. The potential for flash flooding doesn't come from one storm dropping a lot of rain at one spot. It's going to be coming from the threat of heavy rain falling at one spot and then it moving off quickly, and then another storm following up right behind it, and then another one after that, and we call that training. So the same area receiving heavy rain is what the threat is. And you can see the rainfall amounts. This is a 30-day rain estimate forecast for the area, and it ranges anywhere from 1 to 2 inches for most of the area. And you can be sure that there'll be isolated higher amounts in those areas. You can even see a bullseye there of 2.14. So again, there is a threat for flash flooding. The Weather Prediction Center in Washington, D.C. kind of highlights areas of the country where they think the potential for flooding is. And they think that on Tuesday and Wednesday that there is a slight chance for flash flooding in our area. Real quickly, looking at the uncertainties, if we have too much cloud cover, there's going to be less potential for the severe thunderstorms, especially today, because we need that energy to get those storms going from the heat. But as that low moves closer, it kind of cools things off in the upper part of the atmosphere, and that kind of counteracts that lack of heating at the surface. So we will still be unstable and see the potential for thunderstorms. There's a convergence zone that's setting up across southern New Mexico, and where that sets up and where those thunderstorms develop will be a little in doubt until we get a little further into the event. And of course, the location of the heaviest rainfall and flooding is also in doubt. It's all going to depend on where those storms start to form, and then they start to train across, and we'll keep an eye on that as we go into the event. Looking at the watches and warnings, currently no watches and warnings are in effect at this time, but there is the potential for today, tomorrow, and Wednesday that we could see severe thunderstorm watches, severe thunderstorm warnings, maybe even a flash flood warnings, and there is, like I said, an isolated chance for a tornado warning. Real quickly again, the expected impacts. For today, severe thunderstorms, isolated severe thunderstorms will be possible west of El Paso and Las Cruces, and that'll include large hail and damaging winds. Like I said, each day there's a slight chance for a tornado. Tuesday, it'll be for a big hunk of southern New Mexico and far west Texas. Same thing, large hail, damaging winds. Wednesday, it shifts a little east. It's basically El Paso and Las Cruces to the east. Same threats, large hail, strong winds. And like I said, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, there's a threat, an isolated threat for a tornado, and each day has an isolated threat for heavy rain and flash flooding. So that brings the end of this web briefing. As always, you can follow our webpage for the latest watches and warnings. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook for any updated information. So thank you for joining us, and stay safe.